A man from Birmingham who was part of a plot to kill someone with a submachine gun has been put behind bars. Sujeel Amjad helped plan a frightening firearms attack which saw a house and then a car shot after nearly killing a man. The gun attack plot began when Amjad and others travelled to a Wolverhampton address on the evening of Sunday, December the 3rd last year. There, police believe Amjad picked up multiple firearms, including a military-grade Skorpion machine pistol that would be used in one of the two shootings that night. From there, Amjad and his gang drove back to Birmingham where the guns were handed to another man. That man then travelled to an address in Birmingham and opened fire at the front of a house where his target lived. The gunman's target was not in, but a witness described him wearing a balaclava returning to a white Seat Leon parked outside the house before he was driven away by another man. The target, who wasn't at home at the time, then returned to his home a few hours later, and the same gunman was actually waiting for him, this time armed with a Skorps, which could fire hundreds of rounds a minute. Multiple shots were fired towards the car, and one of the two victims thought he had been shot, but all the bullets had missed. The stolen cars used in the shootings, a VW Tiguan and a Seat Leon, were driven away and found burnt out. Amjad of Alum Rock was convicted of attempted murder over the second shooting and arson of the two cars. Images recovered from his phone showed him holding two guns chopper style, along with an image of a Skorpion which may have been the one used on December the 3rd. Amjad was jailed for life at Birmingham Crown Court and has been told he will serve a minimum of 20 years in prison. A second man, who police believe fired the shot, has fled the country and is still on the run, with police looking to track him down with the help of international partners. Detective Inspector Francis Knock from West Midlands Police Major Crime Team said the Skorpion is a military-grade weapon capable of discharging around 800 rounds per minute. It's incredible, really, that no one was actually hit, despite that clearly being the intention of the gunman. Mobile phone and CCTV analysis helped us connect Amjad to the planning of the second shooting, and we know from text messages he was involved in arranging false number plates for at least one of the cars which were used in the shooting and which he helped later destroy. We are determined to bring the gunman who is still on the run to justice and won't stop until he is behind bars. And in this next news story, a key figure in one of the UK's biggest ever drug supply plots has been handed a prison sentence of more than 15 years. Along with an influential partner in crime, Simon Buller, who is 46, headed up an organised crime gang which imported and delivered hundreds of kilos of coke during a truly massive 15-month conspiracy. The geographical reach the court said was extremely wide and saw vast sums of the Class A substance transported by couriers to towns and cities right across the whole of the British mainland. Evidence pointed to Buller, the right-hand man of Andrew Stevens, taking on a high role in a huge dealing network dubbed Amazon style by the prosecutor Tim Evans in terms of his organisation and commerciality. Mr. Evans said dealing with drugs seized and quantities referred to in messaging. The Crown say Simon Buller and Andrew Stevens can be reliably estimated as supplying 230 kilos during this period. Both are directing or organising, buying and selling on a large commercial scale. Buller sent postcodes to couriers whose progress he closely monitored, was aware of drug quantities being imported and collected in safe house locations. Buller was also linked to a second organised crime group. The Crown say that he and Andrew Stevens were working at a high level as UK operatives, as opposed to importers or cartel members really could operate. Coke, potentially worth up to £53 million on the street, was trafficked during the plot, and this was blown apart after Cumbria police discovered a kilo drug consignment in Bowness on Windermere during February 2023, and stashes had been stored in a Lakes lockup by a Cumbrian regional retailer. Early this year, there were 9 men that were sentenced to jail terms totaling more than 100 years for their roles in the illegal enterprise, and Stevens was actually handed a 20-year sentence. Buller, just the other day, who also admitted conspiracy to supply Class A substance, was punished and received a total term of 15 years and 2 months. In a letter penned by Buller to the court, he expressed remorse. He said he appreciates he is in custody and will be in custody for some time, and it is the ramifications which his actions and his incarceration has had on those who are completely blameless, particularly his family. He said Mr. Buller was not the spark or genesis of this conspiracy. He became involved a little later in it because of the role of others, those who knew by association in the building trade or others. He was a scaffy at the time of his arrest, and there were financial difficulties, and that was the other reason he became involved in the conspiracy. The judge told Buller, "It is the daily diet of these courts to deal with the outcome of drug dealing and drug use, and that is addiction which ruins lives, destroys relationships, and causes death. It is the activity which drives other criminal activity through theft, robbery, and burglary, and often lying in the background, violence and disorder." And in this next news story, a 43-year-old man is today beginning a lengthy prison sentence for killing Alex Mamwa in St. Paul's in Bristol early this year. David Malcolm was acquitted of murder but found guilty of manslaughter and possession of a bladed article after fatally stabbing the 30-year-old in March. He was sentenced at Bristol Crown Court for 13 years and 6 months in custody. The court heard that the pair had a long-running personal dispute which resulted in an altercation on Valentine's Day this year, in which Malcolm sustained a cut above his eye. 3 weeks later, on 5th of March, Malcolm borrowed a car and was seen driving around the St. Paul's area for more than an hour until he found Alex, and during a brief confrontation, fatally stabbed him in the upper thigh. Alex was taken to hospital where he sadly died despite the best efforts of medics. Malcolm was arrested that night and later charged by detectives from the Major Crime Investigation Team. In a victim personal statement, Alex's sister said everything has been on standstill since his death, and spoke of the trauma, pain and heartache that came with the realization that Alex is never coming back. She told how Alex moved to the UK when he was 6 years old and was due to reunite with his mother in the Democratic Republic of Congo for the first time in 24 years. She said, imagine how excited his mother must have been to reunite with a baby after many years, to explore how much he'd grown since they last saw each other. She also spoke of Alex's pain, of his ambitions to open up a restaurant, and how just the week before his death he'd asked to go and help research possible locations for the venture. She said, knowing that we will never hear his keys opening the door at home, never hear his voice, his laugh, his silly jokes, see him do silly dances, never hear him say, "Aight, go on," which will say his way of saying bye again. We'll all need to learn to live without Alex because someone was so selfish as to kill our family member. The senior investigating officer, Detective Chief Inspector Bill Walker, said Alex's family have spoken bravely and very openly about the horrific impact his death has had on them. The 6 months since his death, and especially these last few weeks during the trial sitting through evidence, have understandably not been easy for them, and they continue to be supported by specially trained officers. Malcolm is now beginning a lengthy prison sentence for his actions that night, and I hope this gives them some comfort what continues to be a difficult time for the family. Once again, I just want to say rest in peace to the victim, and my condolences go out to your family. Once again, if you already haven't done so, please subscribe to the channel, please give this video a little like, and also drop a comment below and I'll respond back to you. Once again, big respect going out to each and every one of you. It's your boy Jeezy. Keep it locked, keep it real.